Welcome, collectors. Thanks for joining me for this episode of Diecast Emporium. As you can tell from the title, we're going to be reviewing the Matchbox Hitch and Haul Construction Zone sets. Now, there are two versions of this. Basically, they are identical, other than the fact that the cement mixer has a yellow drum in this one and a grayish drum in this one. So let's go ahead and unbox these, take a closer look at the models. And then when we are finished at the end of the video, we're going to go over all of the INC Matchbox releases to date that I have in the collection. So I know a lot of people enjoy collecting these, and honestly, the INC is a recurring livery that Matchbox has done for a number of years, and really it's quite a fun series to collect. Alright, so out of the box we have two figures. First gentleman is carrying a shovel, and this gentleman is a flagger. Now, these two figures, I can tell you right now, as a longtime diecast collector, these are the same tooling figures that were with the Matchbox Caterpillar dirt machines in the late 1990s, so it's really cool to see these back. Obviously, it would be nice if these were detailed out, but with them being gray, it gives you a nice Saturday project if you want to detail these figures out. Here's the cement trailer, cement mixer trailer, and then we have the tilt and tip dump truck. Hopefully these will stay on here. With them being plastic wheels, they do have a tendency to roll off. A little wheelbarrow is also included, which is plastic and obviously way oversized. And then a small little construction sign. So let's go ahead and get the other one opened as well. You guys can watch those as it goes around the table. Again, same thing. Mbx Construction Zone. Taking a look at the card here, you can see the truck tilting with the cement mixer trailer and the gentleman at work. Hitch and haul up here. It says number 2 of 8, so I'm assuming there's going to be 8 models eventually in this collection. And although there are 2 different color variations, they're both number 2. So on the back you have this, and then the other set, which was, I believe, a Volkswagen Transporter with a, looks like a camper vehicle. I did not opt to pick that one up, obviously, as I don't intend to collect all of these in this series. Okay, let's get this one opened. So for all intensive purposes, it's the exact same thing other than the color of the trailer. Here's the same sign. Here's our flagger. Our gentleman with a shovel, another wheelbarrow, the cement trailer, which will probably roll off. Hopefully it'll stay there at least momentarily. And then we have our tilt and tip dump truck. So lots going on here on the spinny table. What we're going to do now is take a quick break. Allow me just to have one of these on the table, and then we'll go over the review. So don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Alright, welcome back, everyone. Thanks for sticking with us. So as you can see, we have the cement trailer and the tilt and tip dump truck. Obviously, both of these are fantasy castings, but based on somewhat real construction vehicles. Obviously, the tilt and tip is based on a side dump truck, and the cement mixer trailer is based on, well, a cement mixing trailer. The cool thing about these hitch and haul sets is that they do come with a hitch, so that you can hook both of them up if you choose to display them, just like that. And the connection's good, where they do stay connected. And we'll do the same thing with the other one. Again, it's not immediately clear why they chose to do the same thing with just a color variation on the mixing drum. But for completionists and those that want to collect all of the INC construction Matchbox pieces in the collection, it's worth picking up both of these. I found these at Walmart, I believe, for $3.99, somewhere in there, so very affordable to most collectors. The working features on the trailer include wheels that roll, and the cement mixing drum does not move, it's fixed in position. But the feature on the truck that works, obviously, is the rolling wheels, and then the tilting side. It's pretty cool. We've already gone over the figures. You've already seen that it comes with a wheelbarrow and a construction sign. So, not a bad little set. Do have to say, obviously, these are geared more towards the younger collectors, but even for the adult collectors, especially those that do the reoccurring liveries, such as National Park, or in this case, INC Construction, it's always good to see a new iteration to the collection, no matter what series it's in, whether it's in this new Hitch and Haul, in the basic range, or even in the real working rigs. All right, as promised, let's go and take a look at all of the Matchbox INC vehicles that I have in my collection to date. I'm pretty sure that I have all of them. There may be one or two that I'm missing. Number 1, the Dirt Grabber. Again, this is a fantasy casting, not particularly based on anything realistic, but it is a nice, cool-looking model, and the moving part on the front, obviously, is the grabber claw, which does open and close. All right, next up we have the Crop Master, which is an old tractor. And right next to that, we have the other model, which is just called a tractor. So you have, obviously, the one that's probably 50 years old, and then the casting that's based on a more modern-day tractor. Both of them come with a hitch at the back. So if you really wanted to, you can probably... Yes, you can. You can have the tractor pulling the cement mixer if you want to do that. All right. Next, we have the cement mixer, obviously based on a cement mixer with a fantasy cab-over truck front of it. Pretty much the same tooling that they've used several times, but nice to see a cement mixer in the collection nonetheless. Here is the Daf Xf-95 Tractor. This would be great if they came out with a proper, like a lowboy trailer that you could haul all of your INC construction diecast around. You can obviously put it in the fifth wheel back here. So it'll be interesting to see if they do an INC lowboy in the Matchbox Convoy series, for example, sometime in the near future. I think that's an obvious selection and an obvious choice to do, but we'll see what Mattel ends up doing. All right, next we have the Mbx Glass King. This is a glass-carrying truck, once again with the fantasy cab-over front end. The nice plastic inserts really give the illusion that there's actually some glass in it. I really do enjoy this casting. I think it's very applicable for construction and looks really good. Next, we have Ground Grinder. 2 versions, one with a black cab, one with a yellow cab. I believe one of these was a basic and the other one was in a 5-pack. I could be wrong. Both of these are a bit dated, but they are representative of a motor grader, which is a real piece of heavy equipment. Speaking of real pieces of heavy equipment, this is another basic that I like a lot. This is the scraper, which features an articulating frame, just like a real scraper does. However, the bowl is non-positionable, so it's kind of just in that one position that you see. But as you've heard me reiterate several times throughout this video, it's so good to have models that are based on real-life pieces of equipment, and not something like this, for example. All right, another piece that's based on a real piece of equipment. This is called the Mbx Excavator, which is based off of a Great-All excavator, which you can see on the side of the roads doing some standard maintenance more often than not. And also it's somewhat based on wheeled excavators, but there's actually a casting a little bit farther on in this video that you're going to see that's based more closely on a wheeled excavator. This is definitely taking inspiration from the Great-All company. Okay, we have the all-terrain crane next, which raises like that. 2 versions of this. This one with the yellow stabilizers and boom, but there's also one of these with gray stabilizers and crane arm. But other than that, it's the exact same casting. All right, we have the road roller, which, you guessed it, is based off of a vibratory single drum soil compactor. So you would not see these paving roads. You would see these compacting the road bed in preparation for paving. The rollers that do the finishing work on paved roads have 2 of these style drums, one in the front, one in the rear, and not the rubber tires in the back. All right. I mentioned one of these models coming up was going to be based on a wheeled excavator. Here it is. This is called, as it wants to take off, this is called the Ground Grabber, I believe, another basic. As you can see, it does not want to stay on the table at all. Moving arm is the only thing that really works other than 360-degree rotation, but what do you want for $1 basic? Not too bad. Sticking with the excavators, This is based on a tracked hydraulic excavator, your more prototypical style excavator machine you'd see in all different aspects of construction. This tooling is exceptionally old. They were making these when I was very little, in the early 90s, possibly even before then. Do they have a date under this, an original date? Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see that, but up here, copyright 1980, and then modified in 2017. So, pretty old. All right. 2 drill diggers, which are based on skid steer loaders with a auger attachment on the front of it. The difference in these 2 models, I believe there is a difference, is one of these was in a 5-pack, and one of these was a single, and there's also a paint variation of the shade of blue. So, cool casting. All right. Here's a relatively new addition. I think this came out last year. This is the Mbx Backhoe. Second release for this model, it was orange and white, and for this release, obviously, it's INC blue, gray, and yellow. Based off a backhoe loader in the real world, I do enjoy this casting. Although it's not particularly based on any specific make of backhoe loader, it looks like they've taken inspiration from JCB, Caterpillar, and Case, and just mixed it together to come up with this tooling. All right, next we have the Groundbreaker, which is based on a Bulldozer. This is another one that has a hitch at the back of it, so again, if you wanted to put the concrete mixer behind this, you can definitely do that. And the blade at the front does raise and lower slightly. All right. Coming down to the last, probably half dozen or so. Here's the International CXT. Love this truck. This is actually pretty close to 1/87 scale, because this truck is a gigantic monster of a machine in the real world. Pretty obvious choice to go with this in the construction company colors. And just to show you that the hitch works, there you go. That's probably the best combination of truck and trailer we've seen in the video so far. All right, next we have the load lifter, which is based on a integrated telescoping tool carrier forklift. And this has multiple sections, so it raises and extends. Quite a nice little forklift. Gradall is another company that made these. Cat does, JCB does. So it is based on a real piece of equipment. And to round out the INC basics, before we take a look at 3 real working rigs, we have the 3-axle dump truck, which again, not particularly realistic nowadays. You don't really see 3-axle dump trucks in almost any industry, including mining. But it is a nice, oversized truck with a good dumping angle, and again, another one with the hitch on the back. All right, first up for the real working rigs, we have wheel tractor scraper, which again articulates in the center across the articulation joint. And this piece back here, which is called the ejector, you can move it forward and backward, and that's what actually pushes the dirt out of the scraper bowl. I like that one a lot. Next, we have the Bulldozer. This one is very functional. The ripper has a little bit of movement, at least the ripper teeth do at the back. The rubber tracks do roll, and you can lift the blade up to a pretty good angle. That's definitely a favorite. And last, but certainly not least, by far my favorite so far in the Matchbox INC construction collection is the Matchbox Excavator. This has tons of movement that mimic the real machine. You can be loading and unloading with this. And again, not particularly to scale, but you can pose it next to the dump truck. So there you go, collectors. That will conclude this video. I hope you've enjoyed it. I hope that you go out and try to add the new INC hitch and tow collection. Pretty interesting castings. Again, I'm not sure I would have chose these two, but it does complement the INC construction collection very well. And as I mentioned a little bit earlier on in the video, with Matchbox bringing back a whole lot of their series that they've done in the past, I really hope that we get a Convoy series INC construction, possibly with a International Lone Star Tractor and maybe a Lowboy flatbed trailer to haul your equipment around. As always, I'm Tommy with Diecast Emporium. Thank you all so much for watching. Take care, be safe, and I'll see you in the next review.